After spending some time with it, I thought it might be helpful to share what I have noticed so far, because I have been running it in my own pool with the kind of mess that actually shows up in real life. I have trees nearby, so I deal with leaves, little seed pods, pollen dust that coats everything, and the random bits that blow in overnight. If you are tired of dragging out a manual vacuum or babysitting a cleaner, this is basically for the person who wants to drop something in the pool, let it do its thing, then rinse it out and move on with the day. What made me curious about this one is that it is simple to operate, and it is built around the stuff that actually matters day to day. It is cordless. It runs on a battery and it moves on tank-style tracks, so it is not just sliding around. It is also designed to clean more than the floor, depending on the mode you choose. I like cleaners that do not require me to think too much, and this one is pretty close to that once you get a feel for how it behaves in your pool. In the hand, it feels solid. It is not feather light, but it is also not a chore to carry. The body feels like it can handle being pulled in and out of the water a lot. There is a handle on top that I end up using every single time, and it is placed where it should be, so the weight feels balanced when you lift it. On the back there is a charging port, and the part I actually appreciate is the thick rubber seal covering it. Pool gear lives around water, so anything that helps keep moisture out is a good thing. Setup is about as basic as it gets. I charged it, closed everything up, and that was it. Charging is not complicated, and in my use I get around 2 hours of run time when I let it go through a normal session. For my pool, that is enough to make a noticeable difference. Your results will depend on the size of your pool and how dirty it is, but I can say it is not one of those devices that dies before it gets anything done. Using it day to day is straightforward. There is a single button on the unit, and you use that to pick the cleaning mode. I like that it does not try to turn the controls into a whole project. In practice, I mostly switch between cleaning the floor only and cleaning the floor plus the walls. There is also a wall-only mode, and there is an eco mode that runs in intervals to stretch the time between charges. Eco mode is the one I use when the pool is already in decent shape, and I just want it to keep up with light debris. One thing that is easy to miss until you use it is that it has a sensor, so it only runs when it is actually in the water. That matters because you are going to carry it to the pool, set it down, adjust your grip, and you do not want it spinning up in the air and wasting battery. With this, I press the button, lower it into the pool, and once it is submerged, it starts behaving like it should. When I place it in the water, it takes a little bit to sink and get oriented. It is not instant. I usually give it a minute and let it settle, and then it starts moving with purpose. Underwater, you can see bubbles coming out, and that is part of how it moves and stabilizes itself. It is normal, and after a few runs I stopped paying attention to it. On the bottom, there are rubberized tracks and rotating parts that help pull debris in. The way it collects debris is pretty simple. It pulls water through, and everything ends up in the filter basket. The basket is larger than I expected, which matters if your pool gets hit with a lot of leaves. After a run, I pull the basket out, dump it, and rinse it with a hose. It is not messy, and I do not feel like I am fighting clips or tiny latches. I do wish the basket had a slightly easier grip when it is wet, because everything gets slippery, but it has not been a real problem. Now for the actual cleaning, because that is the whole reason to own something like this. On the pool floor, I watched it move in a pattern that looks deliberate. It does not look random like some older cleaners I have used. It goes across, turns, and comes back in a way that covers the space more evenly, and the result is that I see fewer missed patches. It is not perfect every single run, especially if the pool has weird curves or a lot of obstacles, but overall it covers my floor well. On the walls, it climbs more confidently than I expected. It will go up, scrub along the waterline for a bit, then drop back down and move on. That waterline area is where I usually see a faint ring starting to form, and I like not having to stand there with a brush as often. If you have heavy staining, you still may need manual work sometimes. For normal grime and light algae film, I have seen it make a real dent. The debris pickup has been the most consistent part for me. It grabs fine stuff like pollen and dirt that settles like dust, and it also handles larger leaves that would normally clog some smaller baskets. After a windy day, I ran it and the basket came out full. The pool looked better right away, especially the floor where that yellowish dust tends to collect. I have also had it pick up those little seed pods that sink and sit in corners. It does not always get every single one in the tightest corners on one pass, but after another cycle, it usually catches what is left. There are a couple of limitations I noticed. If your pool has a lot of steps, ledges, or awkward shelves, any robot like this can have trouble treating those surfaces the same way it treats a clean wall or a flat floor. Mine will sometimes spend extra time trying to reposition itself near a corner, and occasionally it will move away before it finishes that spot. In those cases, I just run it again, or I accept that I will do a quick touch-up with a brush in the tricky areas. Another practical thing is retrieval. When it finishes or runs out of battery, you need to pull it out. Depending on where it stops, that can mean reaching with a pole or stepping closer to the edge. It is not hard, but it is part of the routine. I normally just watch for it to stop, grab it by the handle, let the water drain for a moment, then carry it to where I rinse the basket. I also want to address the mobile app question, because people ask that a lot with pool robots now. With this one, my experience has been focused on the on-device controls and the cleaning modes. I have not needed an app to get the results I want, and I honestly prefer that for something I use outdoors around water. For me, the daily reality is press the button, drop it in, pull it out, rinse the basket, charge it, and I am done. If you are someone who wants deep control from your phone, this may not be the kind of product that scratches that itch. If you want something that works without turning pool cleaning into a phone task, that is where it fits. Overall, after using it repeatedly, I trust it to keep my pool under control with less effort from me. The biggest strength is that it is easy to live with. It runs long enough to matter, it picks up both fine and larger debris, and it cuts down the time I spend brushing and vacuuming. The main limitations are the usual robot limitations around complex shapes and tight corners, plus the basic reality that you still have to empty and rinse the basket and keep it charged. If you have been considering a cordless robotic cleaner and your goal is to make routine pool maintenance simpler, the AIPER Scuba Zone has been a practical tool in my setup, and I keep reaching for it because it actually saves me time. If you have questions about how it would handle your pool shape or your typical debris, leave a comment and I will do my best to help based on what I have seen. Subscribe to the channel for more real-world reviews, and thank you for watching.